Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hollywood Knitter. I'm recording on Saturday, September 15th, 2018 from my home in Los Angeles, California. My name is Allison and I'll be your host. I usually start that the other way. I think it's because it's been too long. I can't believe it's been 2 months since I recorded my last episode. But it's been a semi-busy summer and I like to wait for the perfect quiet time to sit and do this when everyone's out of the house and I have the right light and, the perfect things align. And that usually only happens on the weekends, and every other weekend I've been meaning to record, something happens that I can't record. Last weekend, my boyfriend's car went out, his clutch. He was one of the last, well, at least around here in LA, one of the last ones with a stick, and he had been having problems for a while, and then suddenly he's like, my clutch is going out. And I'm like, just get a new car. And of course, then I had to go with him to go search for new cars, which is a wonderful experience. Why do car dealerships waste your time so much? Even once we decided on the car, we had to sit there for 2 hours waiting for the finance person. And I was just like, come on, my time is worth more than this. Like, just set an appointment up, we'll come back. But they don't want to let you leave the dealership because until you sign that, it's not official. Anyways, he ended up with a new car. He loves it. It's way nicer. I might actually drive in his car now because for the past, we've been together 4 years, I don't drive in his car unless absolutely necessary because it was a pigsty. But now he got a nicer car with leather seats and I was like, you better keep it up. So anyways, the point is saying I've had a lot going on and I'm going to share more, but I've missed talking to you. I have some knitting to share. I've been knitting, I've been crocheting. I've actually had equal this episode, which will be kind of interesting. But I needed to kind of sit down and do this and check back in with you because that's what I need to do before I put stuff away. Anyways, let's get started with in the can, what I have complete. So let's start with my shawl that I had been working on since June. So I finished this August 10th, and this is, let's see, triangular shawl and a lace motif. You can see that. It looks great since I blocked it. And basically the lace motif starts one way, and then you just, it's really simple, it's just yarn overs, and then you get, as you go down to the next section, you get more yarn overs, and then towards the edge, you get a lot more yarn overs. And the yarn is Expression Fiber Arts in the Oberon colorway, and it is 50% merino, 50% silk. I used all 550 yards. You can't really tell, but it's my entire wingspan, so I think I measured it. It was like 72 inches across by 28 inches in depth, which is like a perfect size for around the neck, and it's just luscious. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. I'm not sure yet. I like it, but I have a lot of shawls that I don't wear, and I don't have as many things in my gift box that I would be proud to give someone, and this is one of them. The yarn was actually, I think it was something I got in New Knockers as part of the swap. But it's beautiful. I really loved it. It was simple knitting. It was a lot of lace knitting. It was, as I said, 550 yards, so that took a while. Didn't really make too many modifications besides I wanted to use all of my yardage, so I followed the one for the large, but then as I got to the end, when I kind of did an I-cord bind off, I stopped, and I actually didn't stop soon enough, and I tried to do the I-cord bind off, and I got halfway through, so I had to rip back 2 rows and start again, but I'm pleased with it. It's so pretty. I love these colors and the feel of it. Oh, merino silk. Yeah, so that is the Aperture Shawl by Amber O'Brien. Very simple if you're looking for just a beautiful, easy shawl to show off your yarn. I really enjoyed it. The other thing I was working on, and I thought they were in here, but maybe they're not. is I picked up for some of my just on-the-go travel projects as knitted knockers. So I have a few knitted knockers done. I have another one. I just don't know where I put them. Actually, I think I put them in my drawer and I didn't take them out. But I think I have 4 done right now. So this is the knitted knockers. This is a charity, if you're not aware, that knits prosthetic breasts for people who have had breast cancer or other reasons, I assume, to have a mastectomy. And these are cotton and they're so soft and they're easily adjustable. You keep the hole open and you can put stuffing in them, and they are donated to places that then get them to the women who need them. And this is a charity for the Northern California Knitting Retreat. So I thought I would get a jump on it this year, and because it's easy, portable, and I still have yarn from last year. Oh, and it's because it's pumpkin time. This is my kitchen counter craft bag in pumpkins because I love pumpkins. I love pumpkins and Halloween and fall a lot. And orange is obviously my favorite color too. So anyways, love this bag. So these are knitted knockers, and I'm doing them out of, what am I doing them out of? Sorry. Universal Yarn Bamboo Pop, which is what I picked up last year, and I only used like half of it, so I'm trying to use the rest of it. And for mine, I have a cream and a brown. So I'm alternating either the cream or the brown as the main one, and then on the back side, which you won't see, it's this beachy color, which has both colors in it. And that's just so that I don't get super bored. You know, just a little color change sometimes makes you happy and is enough to go on. Excuse me while I take a sip of tea. The boyfriend has been sick this week with either the flu or the cold. I have a bit of a sore throat, and I'm trying not to get sick. I don't feel sick, but I'm also having some type of drip in the back of my throat, but it could be allergies. It's hard to tell. Anyways, this was a mug I picked up from Stitches West. I love it. And my tea is Earl Grey Bravo from a tea place that I get a lot of tea from, that the name is escaping me. I'm forgetting a lot of little things like that where I can't recall things as quickly. I think that's called AGE, right? The other thing that I finished was a charity that I try to make something for every year. I'm not as prolific as some ladies I know who do these in the hundreds, but I did 3 mother bears for the Mother Bear Charity. And these are all crocheted and with scrap yarns that I had. So I made this one stripey. I made this one sort of girlish with like short pants, and then this one kind of greens. And I actually, like, it's marled because I held 2 yarns together. I think I held a fingering and a DK probably or something. And I try to do this to use up my scraps. And the Mother Bear Project is a great project out of Minnesota that sends these beautiful bears to Africa or other places where children just need a hug, pick me up. Someone, you know, a toy to let them know that they're special. So I try to make a few every year. I think I made 3 last year. And what kicked me in the butt to do it at this time of year is the Two Knitlet Chicks were having their annual Mother Bear Cow. And I participated in that last year. So I was like, okay, I keep all of my scraps for this project in a bin all year round. And I'll just throw like new worsted weight or other scraps that I think would be appropriate in it. And I have like the actual crochet hook I use, the size, I just keep it in there all year round, and the directions. So I was all ready to make them. And so it got me to do them. And I'm really happy with my faces this year. I think they look kind of cute. Faces are sometimes hard, but I think I'm getting a little better. So I have little tags that say made with love, that I have some extras that they sent me last year. So I'm going to send that. And then they request $3 a bear, and I will mail them off. I actually always give more than that to donate to the charity because it's very wonderful. And then I will plan on making some more mother bears next year. Now that's all I've finished, which for 2 months you said, well, you're not going to say, you're not judging. You're all friends and we all have we all knit at our own pace. But I would have liked to have seen more done, but then I stopped to think about it, and one, I've had some re-knitting, and then I was just in a little bit of a knitting slump. So let me show you my long sock that's been my purse knitting. This is the Pan, oh, I have the other one almost done. This is the Pan Galactic Helix by Heather R. Robinson. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I started these in July. So I finished one almost. I haven't Kitchener to the toe. And it is this great kind of slip stitch over. It's not even a slip stitch. You actually pass a stitch over 2 stitches and create this spiraling effect, which I liked for it. And then I did a kind of, oh, it's blowing it out, but it's neon. It's a neon yellow for the toe and heel. And that was because I had to do the 2 extra repeats because I'm not sure what it was about this pattern or this yarn, but it was really tight when I cast it on. And I'm doing it from the top down, and I almost always do my socks from the toe up. So I don't know if that affected it too. I couldn't adjust as well. But I did a lot of re-knitting on the sock, including the heel. I think I did it twice. First, I didn't like it, or it was too big, and I tried it on. These are for my boyfriend, and that better not be a drop stitch that I see. That will make me really sad. I don't know what that is. I'll have to fix it. But anyway, so a lot of re-knitting. So I'm not exactly happy with these socks. They're still in my purse. But even when I have knitting time, I sort of don't want to work on them, which is not good. Not good at all. But I also have to finish them because I finish all my things. I don't have wits. I finish them till I do them. Don't put them away, really. And I still need to do that. So I'm going to focus on these shortly just to knock them out and get them out of the way because it's a fair amount of knitting. And then because I haven't done the final try on the boy, I have not Kitchener because I wanted to make sure that the length is right. I didn't want to Kitchener it and then put them on them, and they're just a wee smidge tight. So they're sort of just hanging out on waste yarn until I can do that, or until I remember to do that. I've had plenty of opportunity. But yeah, I like the outcome. I'm just not enjoying the knitting. But I started, as you can see, this was another one where I had some knitting time in a meeting, and I was like, yay, I got a fair bit done. But it was in training, and for some of that, the light was off. And then when I went back and looked at it afterwards, I had forgot to drop the stitch way back. And it wasn't forgiving enough that I could just drop down and pick it up. So I ripped out like 1.5 inches and just, yeah. Anyways, love the outcome like I do most things when I'm not excited by the knitting, but I want to finish the socks. So I'm going to make it a priority shortly. But I have been spending a lot of time on my blankets. So if you've been a long-time watcher, you'll realize I have 2 long-term blankets in progress. One is my sock scrap blanket, and I started this, I thought I put it in here, I think it was January 2016. Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's with all my sock yarn scraps. And this was at the time a lot of people were doing kind of scrappy sock yarn. Not that people have stopped, but there was a big craze at the time. And I, in my infinite, wisdom, not infinite wisdom, I love it, but decided I was going to do one, but I was going to do it linen stitch, which gives a beautiful result, but it is a little slow. But I picked it up again after, gosh, it's been since March. So it's been like 6 months since I worked on it. And I actually already went and I have a side that has my marker. Here it is. So I put the marker in this pink. So I've done this much, which is 3 inches, which is what I normally do. But here I'm going to kind of pick it up and show it to you as much as I can. It's getting long, guys. It's like over the halfway point. It's awesome. And I'm fringing as I go. So this is the final fringe. I'm leaving it. I'm just knotting it, and then I'm cutting it to the same size. And yeah, I was surprised when I picked it up. The 3 inches only took me, I had a lot of knitting time that weekend, but it only took me like 4 days. So I'm going to try to focus on this, of doing this more regularly, because I want to get some more done. It is at, what are we at? It is at 39 inches, so I have 33 inches remaining. I'm going to try to make it 72 inches. I am 5'8", so I try to make it my height or a little bit longer so it can cover a lot of my body. And it's just the perfect light throw. And I just love how I'm just randomly, like as the colors go, they kind of come and fade. So I look like I have like different sections of color. Some are brighter, lighter. There's some sparkle in there. Yeah, so I have a lot of Zach scraps. I'm not concerned with having enough to finish this. I honestly think even though I want to make it a focus, it's still going to be another year before I finish it. That's the best case scenario. But so this is the linen stitch blanket. I don't really using a pattern. I'm just using linen stitch. You know, I cast on, I don't remember, 500 plus stitches. And the only thing I'm doing different than linen stitch, and that's because I'm fringing it, is I'm always just doing the knit row. So I do the knit, you know, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip. And then when I get to that end of the row, I just push them all back, start the next color, and then do the next one. So I have no purling. It's all knitting. And yeah, but it takes a while, and now it's a fair amount of weight, so it's not portable in any way. It's only couch knitting. And it's sort of slow going-ish, you know. It's pretty dense, but I love it. So I did that, and then I was like, well, let me pick up my other blanket because I felt inclined, and my other blanket is a crocheted blanket in worsted straps. I really like to use my scraps up, people. This one is the Groovy Gam by Marinka Slump, and it was something she had seen a stitch. Here, I'm going to show you. Excuse me while I... So this is the blanket. Oh, yeah, there you go, focus. And I have a lot done. Where's my marker? So I had a fair amount done, and because this is a lot faster, it's crochet, it's worsted. And where is my marker? I had a marker. Here it is. So when I picked it up last week or the week before, or a little over last week, I picked it up here, and I did all the way to the top there. Now, what I'm doing, it's scrappy, but there's sort of a system, is I do this green, which is a Barocco remix that I pulled from a sweater, this kind of green that you see throughout, and then I do like a lighter, so it's like a brown or gray, and then I do a warm stripe, which is reds or oranges or purples, then a cool stripe, which is blues or greens, and then I do the green again. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. The stitch is this cool crochet stitch. So it creates these ridges. One, I'm only crocheting into the back post of the stitch. So the front post of a crochet stitch is actually creates a line, and that's where you see these lines of the color going through. And then every, I think 10 stitches, I do a double crochet in the stitch below, and that's what creates that kind of step down. Super easy. I'm not a master crocheter, but you know, I can follow it. And so I did the length, I did a lot of length, and I measured it. And now I don't have my thing, but I want to make it throw size. So I went, what's a typical throw size? I think it's like 50 by 60. Okay, where am I at? So I gave myself to the length, but I was going to be short. So when I cast this on, I didn't really have something in mind, and this cast on is 32 inches, which is too narrow for a throw. So what I decided to do is go to length minus 2 inches. I want to do a 2-inch solid color border around this whole thing to kind of pull it together. But I was like, okay, well, I need to make it wider. So I decided to do stripes. I was gonna do the pattern stripes too, like this kind of jog down, but then I thought it might be too busy. So when I started it, instead, I decided just to do the solid stripes. So first part of this is I had to take all of my ends, all of my many, many ends, and this took 3 days, and weave them in to the blanket so that then I could pick up on that edge to crochet up. So this is what that looks like on the front, and I'm really pleased with it. So instead, I'm still following the same kind of color scheme, but I'm just not doing this double crochet down. So they're just solid stripes. And it's just single crochet, so it's super easy. Single crochet where you're only doing the crochet into the one post, not both. And I'm going to make it 6 inches bigger on each side using this. And then I'll have the width I need, and then I'll be able to do the 2 inches all around with another color. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it's coming. Now, I haven't started the other side, so it's got all the ends to weave in, but on the back side, you can see where I haven't cut them all off, but I weaved them all in away from the edge. And how I weaved them is I basically, because it's crochet and it's, you know, you're just crowing into the row below, I just basically took it, went into the row below, back again a few, and then back again. So, and then you can't really see that on the front side. So I was really kind of pleased with how it looks. You can't see where the other ones are. But as I said, weaving ends, no joke. 3 days, hours and hours, 3 days. Watching TV, but hours. I'm really feeling motivated on this right now though. So I think I'm gonna keep working on this and finish it by the end of the year, maybe sooner. I know, crazy, but it's easy. Crochet is fitting my mind right now. I love the different plays of the colors. I want to use the scrap yarns because so this started with my original worsted weight scraps. Then I felt I wasn't gonna have enough. So I went to Joann and got some. And I picked some up at the Knitter Knockers retreat. So now I think I have plenty of scraps, but I want to use some up and then kind of put the rest of the scraps like for my mother bear and get all organized and stuff. So I think my linen stitch one might go away for a while, and then I'm going to focus on finishing this in between knitting something else because I will get bored too. Anyways, so yeah, so this is the Groovy Gan. This is kind of the pattern or the recipe, and then, you know, I'm making all those modifications I talked about. And I'm using an H-hook. Some of my yarns are thinner worsted, some are thicker, some are slightly bulky. It all kind of gets in there and works. And yeah, most of them are superwash, not all of them. So when I wash this, I will have to probably just do a soak and maybe a dry outside. So, but I was okay with that. Yeah, so that's been spending lots of time. I'm gonna just drop this here. And that's kind of what I've been working on. Isn't that sad? That's why I'm like, I need to cast on another project. These projects I've been working on for months, and I need something new. This is normally when I would cast on a hat or some other thing, but I have some sweater quantities of yarn, and there are some fall sweater cows going on, though I'm not usually a cow person. I miss Hohies, which would have been perfect because I have a Hohi sweater I'm going to do, but I have two. I'm going to decide today which one I'm going to cast on because I'm going to wind the yarn up and cast on today. September 15th, perfect time. I think one of the cows, I think the Two Knitted Chicks cow actually starts today and goes through January, which is the perfect length of time for me in a sweater cow. But I'm deciding, and I know I talked to you previously, between the Markley by Elizabeth Doherty, where I would do it striped, or I have the Granito by Joji Locatelli and Dragonfly, and I have a sweater's worth. And I'm leaning towards the Dragonfly, just because it's a lot more stockinette. So I think that it would, at least when smaller pieces, it might be more portable initially. So yeah, one of those will be on the needles by the next time you see me, which will not be 2 months, I promise. But that's all I kind of have in knitting. I have no stash enhancement or anything lately, which is not a bad thing. And so let's talk about a bit of gossip and what's been going on and why I haven't been here. I had 2 big trips in August that kind of sucked the whole August. Well, not trips. One was my niece and nephew came to visit and stay with me for over a week. And my nephew is 17 and my niece is 8. So very different. We did a few things. We went to some amusement parks. We went to some museums. Though after we went to the cool museum that's near me is called the Autry, and I'd never been, always wanted to. So I was like, I'll use this as an opportunity. It's a country western museum. And when I said where we were going, my niece is like, another museum. These kids, honestly, were just more content to just hang out at my house and do things. We played board games. They also just spent time, you know, my nephew, because he's a teenager, spent a lot of time just on his phone. I don't understand how teenagers can spend 10 hours just on their phone. And I asked him what he was doing. Like, well, what are you watching? Are you watching videos? Are you watching podcasts? And he's just like, yeah. What are they about? I don't know. I was like, talking to a teenage boy is sometimes like pulling teeth, or at least my nephew. But apparently they both enjoyed it. For my niece, because my niece is a special flower. She loves horror movies, and her family, besides me, does not. So we actually sat down and I let her pick out, you know, from Netflix, any horror movie she wanted. And she's like into like scary clowns and other things. So we watched the movies. I did have to be, just the gore and stuff doesn't bother her. In fact, the ones we watched were extremely campy. We laughed, but you know, there were some adult-ish scenes. Like we watched the remake of Friday the 13th, the one with Jared Padalecki. And I'd never seen it before, but I mean, it's a remake, and you know, it's teenagers. So all of a sudden, you know, there's a lot of, it wasn't rated R or anything. It was PG-13. So, but there's a lot of like boobies, and I was just like, oh, we don't need to see boobies. So I'm like fast forwarding, and the second I'm like, oh, more boobies. Let me fast forward. And my niece is like, Auntie, I have boobies. It's okay. I've seen boobies before. And I'm like, I know, but it's a lot of boobies. We don't need to see a lot of boobies. It's like, she's right. It's, you know, it's that. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun watching movies. And she just likes to snuggle on the couch and do that. And then, as I said, we played a fair amount of board games. My family is all very competitive. So my niece and nephew came on like a Thursday or Friday. They flew out. And then my sister joined the following week because she had a work conference in Vegas. And we're all very competitive. So we all played a lot of Ticket to Ride, which is a train game, which I loved and they loved. We tried some other games that we have. I can't even remember. Scoundrels of Skullport, we played with my nephew, which was really good. We have a ton of games. Anyways, then I tried another like more complicated game, and it was just too much for him. I think I tried Mansions of Madness, and no, couldn't keep their attention. My nephew would have been able to play, but my sister and my niece were just all like, quick and win. So we played a lot of Ticket to Ride, because once they got the hang of it, they just kept wanting to play to try to win. And the knitting I did while they were there. So I had made a pair of socks for her, a pair of Rose City Rollers. When they got here, and I think I tried them on the second day to her, they were too small. Apparently 8-year-olds' feet are growing. And she's like, oh no, they're too small. And I was like, well, let me rip back and redo them. And so basically I ripped back, and with her here over the week, knit her another pair of Rose City Rollers to send home with her. Then, because she is a demanding little miss, she's like, well, can you make me a pair of knee highs? And I'm like, knee highs? I don't even know if she's going to wear these shorty socks. And she's like, a pair of knee highs. And I was like, okay. And I want them to be like neon stripes. And I'm like, okay. And I was like this. And then I showed her like neon stripes. She's like, no, not like that. And I'm like, well, how about, you know, and so I'm looking through, I think what I was looking is just Ravelry, like I'm sure it was Ravelry. I was looking at just pictures of socks, and she's like, oh, I like that. And the kind of effect that she was looking for is actually from a sock blank. She likes that kind of muted kind of thing, but with bright colors. And there happened to be one, and she's like, oh, I like that one. And I looked at it, and it's a Gales Art sock blank that I actually have in my stash. So I was like, perfect. I have that. let me take all your measurements. So I took her calf and everything else. And I said, you won't, she's like, can you get these to me in 2 weeks? I said, absolutely not. You will get these for Christmas. And she's like, okay. So I'm going to make her a pair of knee-high socks for Christmas. Or at least high socks. I was thinking she could wear them in the winter with her boots and things, or potentially under skirts or something. But this will be a test to see. And I'm going to ask my mom if she actually wears these socks. That is the key, because it's going to be a fair amount of work, you know. All socks are. And although I love my niece, I don't like to make things for them if they're not going to use them, which is why when she asked for socks, I only made her these shorties to see if she would actually wear them, to see if she was sock worthy. But yeah, so then they went home, and the following weekend, I went out to Ohio to see one of my oldest friends. We've been friends since high school. She invited me to go out and have a vacation, as one of my coworkers called it. She invited me to go out and go to the Beyonce Jay-Z concert that she had bought tickets for. So I hadn't been out to see her in a while in Ohio, and she has a gorgeous baby boy, who's a year and a half. So we did that, flew in, picked me up, you know, we went to, she lives in Dayton and it was in Columbus, and we went to the concert, which was awesome. We had extremely close seats. She had gotten like stage floor row 5, which normally would put you extremely close, but in this case, because of the way their stage is, it's very high and there's a lot of walking. So we were stuck seeing only when they kind of went in the section in front of us, and we could see they had huge projection screens which showed both of them differently. So each screen showed different things, and we could see obviously the screen in front of us perfectly, but we couldn't really see the screen on the other because it was blocked by the stage and the walkway. But it was still a lot of fun. It was interesting. I had never sat that close, or, you know, I'm never sat that close to a concert, like a big concert like that. I'm usually too cheap, honestly. But it was a lot of fun, and we hadn't hung out for a while. And after that, she was actually in, right before she was going to move to Cleveland. She got a new job in Cleveland. So we had to go to Cleveland because she was getting the keys to her new house. So I got to see her new house, which is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Gosh, I wish house prices in LA weren't so expensive. She got this gorgeous house for, you know, what wouldn't be a $1 million+ house in LA, and I think up there it's probably $350, I think she said. It was, you know, multi floors, kind of Victorian style, lots of things, and she'd gotten it remodeled and updated, and it was just beautiful. I'm just so jealous in some ways. Anyway, so we did that, and then we went back to her house in Dayton, and then her husband like did a trip to Cleveland to move some stuff, and we were supposed to hang out that day, and she got sick. Really sick. So it was really good that I was there, because then I got to watch the baby all day by myself, which was fine. No problem watching him. He's so adorable. And then I flew out the next day. But the problem with that is on Monday, I got apparently what all of them got. I guess it started with Carter, who's her son, getting ill and coming home from daycare. And then her husband got something, and then she got something, and then I got it. And I can see, parents, why, holy crap, that it was no joke. Like, I was in bed for a whole day. I haven't called in sick in years. And I was like, I absolutely cannot go to work today. Luckily, it was like a 24-hour bug. I was able to kind of get through it, but man, it was no joke. Yeah, so then it's just been work. I've been just having like a lot of work things. Like I said, we had car shopping, just doing stuff around the house, just putzing. Yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on. I've also been wrestling with my upcoming travels. I've been on the fence about Rhinebeck, and I've decided I'm not going to go to Rhinebeck. I'm not even sure if I'm going to see my family in the fall or not. We'll see. I'm trying to decide that. What I have on coming up is Stitches SoCal, which I just realized is the weekend after my birthday. I So it's the 1st to the 4th, and it's a Stitches event that they're going to be doing in Pasadena, which is so close to me. It's like 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away. So I'm going to do that. I'm sure I have a lot of local knitting friends that are going to be there. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a class or something. I'm late to the game, of course, assigning and doing any of that. I always am. But the other part of that is I just got an email, and they're having some quilting classes because I know that they're trying to become more multi-craftual. So what I think I'm going to do is see if my mom wants to come out and visit me and be right around my birthday. She hasn't come out for a solo trip in quite a few years. I want to say she probably hasn't come to see me to visit by herself for 6 or 7 years. So I was thinking maybe of doing that. She can take a class over there. We can kind of hang out, and then maybe I can do kind of a crafty tour of LA. We can check out some of the quilting stores, you know, some of the other things like that, and that would be fun. And then I am registered, or setting my registration today, for the the Virginia Beach getaway in February, which is put on by my friend Martha Knit Crit. And I went, I think, for the first year, and then I haven't been back the last few years, but I decided to go this year because it's the same weekend as Stitches West. And since I went to Stitches West last year, I thought I would go there this year and see some of my friends, especially because I'm not going to Rhinebeck, so I won't have a knitty friend connection for a while for those that I see at retreats. So excited about that. Yeah, we'll see what's going on. I have some other, I want to do like a local trip soonish, maybe a weekend away or camping. I haven't decided, and it's hard to arrange it. And yeah, anyways, international trips, I'm still looking at some maybe for next year, but I haven't pulled the trigger on some. I don't know, since my Morocco one fell through, I'm sad. And I was going to sign up for another one, and I want my mom to go, and it happens to conflict with my sister being out of town, and my mom can't be out of town when my sister's out of town because she basically takes care of my niece, and da. So it is what it is. I will do some more traveling next year. Or we're talking about maybe doing a cruise. Maybe I could get everybody. They want to do like an Alaska cruise. That would be fun too. So I think that's all I have. Oh, I have one more thing. I got an email from, let me pull it up. 1 second. So I don't know if I've ever told you, or if you are not a longtime listener, how I started this podcast or why I started this podcast. I was encouraged by listening to podcasts early in the days when they're all audio. And then as part of that, one of the ones I used to listen to was Keeping It Real with Jackie. And she did a knitting retreat in Missouri, and it was the first one I'd ever went to. And I loved it and met so many cool people there, so many friends, so many people that I even met there that I didn't realize I met there and that I reconnected at later retreats. Kind of crazy. But one of the people that is absolutely awesome, who also has a podcast, is Shiloh, A Joyful Girl. And she has an audio podcast, and she had been defunct for a little while, and, you know, life stuff happens or whatever, and she's back. And she'd sent me an email in June asking me to plug this, and I totally forgot last time, and I totally listened. Like, as soon as it came back on, I downloaded it and started listening to it. I'm back. It is Spin Control by Shiloh, A Joyful Girl. And she just moved to Colorado, and she spins and she crochets, and she has alpaca, and she just has a wonderful speaking voice. In her former life, she was a PR person, and she does great little audio. They're usually 20 to 30 minutes, and she has great music. She picks a song, great taste in music. She picks a new song to kind of exit out with every song, and I love listening to her selections. I always hear or get exposed to new musicians that I've never heard. So anyways, if you're looking for a new audio podcast, pretty short, she comes out, I think, roughly every 2 weeks. Go give Spin Control a try. There we go. Okay, now I think I'm done. I'm going to go off and figure out what sweater I'm going to do, and I'm going to do the yarn, wind the yarn. Let me speak proper English today. Apparently I haven't had enough tea. and enjoy my day. It looks a little warm here. I think we're in the 90s, which is a little too warm for me to hang out outside, sadly, but doable. And yeah. Anyways, missed you all. Sorry, I won't be such a stranger again for so long, or I'll try not to. I shouldn't do absolutes. I don't do well. But anyways, if you're looking for me, I'm Allison1031 on Instagram or Ravelry. Those are my two main things. And there is a Ravelry group. Feel free to come in, drop a hello on the thread if you're inclined. There's not a ton of chatter there because I'm not a chatterer myself. But I do welcome comments, and if you are going to be or see me at any of the events, I should record before Stitches. But if you don't, or you see me, feel free to say hi. If you recognize my voice, or I guess my picture. When I was audio, it used to just be my voice. Now, I guess you recognize my face too. Anyways, I'm rambling now. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go and upload this, edit and upload this. So that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.